Hi, I'm Deborah Alicia. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for the love. Today's channel message is entitled Impoverished. My attention is immediately brought to the beginning of this word, as in IMPOV, impoverished. But I'm being reminded of the word improvise. When we look up the etymology of improv without the R, like with improv, like where one takes immediate action on the fly and is not scripted, I then wonder how this word became connected to poverty or loss of wealth. I'm hearing from my spirit team that this is because improvisation was contributed to lack. Not lack of intelligence, but the lack of etiquette. Etiquette, being more scripted, was deemed royal. Repetition allowed for those who were not familiar with improv to emulate those with this ability. So let's say improv is demonstrated. Well, the observer who is unfamiliar with this ability, being disturbed by it, would be more comfortable with knowing what to expect rather than to be surprised by improv. They don't know what to expect because it's not relatable. This person experiences anxiety when they don't know what's coming next. They think that those who are led by the Spirit are savages because anything goes. They don't think it's possible to be successful with this type of mentality. But if you notice, some of the most famous scenes in movies were impromptu. Flow state is magical, not only individually wise, but when collaborating with others. What do we mean by flow state? It's to be led spiritually. Not even the person experiencing this is aware of the improv they demonstrated. They are pleasantly surprised just as much as those who are watching them, or even those they have collaborated with experiencing the same thing. This is that spiritual connectedness that takes place in the mind. It happens when we have a momentum going with thoughts that feel really good. It allows for divine connection. Divine meaning higher perspective. It takes us by surprise because we are not saying something we know we weren't programmed to believe. And being unscripted, yet so satisfying, shows us there is more here than meets the naked eye. We want it again and again, and it is possible. However, it requires more trust in the spirit rather than programs. And that's going to take more experience with that under your belt. It is how trust is formed. Considering comfort is the key to these occurrences. Spirit becomes familiar. It becomes the dominant influence in our being. So much so, those that rely on planning question how it's done because they can't simply relate. In our channel message, Retrograde, we stated we pose questions without to see if others' response resonates. Should we have trouble seeing what lies beneath? So, if others ask us a question and our response resonates with them, it shows them what they know to be true. They just personally need to build a momentum with that within self. So it doesn't mean we're impoverished. Being led by the Spirit is not a state of impoverishment, simply because others can't see what we see with our mind's eye. Therefore, falsely accusing we're poor because our expression shows receiving they have not yet witnessed. But their lack of vision is a testament to a state of poverty, not on our part, but theirs as far as their spirituality is concerned. They are spiritually impoverished, finding it hard to believe we are rich because spiritual riches transcend the physical plane and shows up in emotions. Because despite what they may have access to on this physical plane, they don't bear these fruits. If they have any gratitude, It's for being able to accomplish what they planned, as to say they don't need the spirit. However, that is exactly who they call on, whether they're aware of it or not, when their plans fall through. Their emotions being dependent on outside circumstances puts them in a very vulnerable position, in the sense that they have said, I cannot be happy unless this happens for me. And as a man thinketh, so he is. He has put his good feelings on hold until what he desires manifests. Not understanding that physical manifestation is dependent on emotions, which is driven by the spirit. Without spirit, we're out here playing the lottery with our satisfaction, where it is often a miss rather than a hit. Because sowing, bearing, and eating righteous fruit is foreign to him. It's like a person setting their heart on being angry until they get what they want. But here's the kicker. If they win the lottery and they get what they want, their feelings won't change. Those emotions of anger are driven by the flesh and a momentum built with that. So its end is a reflection of the sowing and the bearing. So thinking it's going to immediately change when you get what you want is a setup. Whole time you was angry and the end is happiness? Make it make sense. This concept of spoil has everything to do with this. Spoil speaks to the fruit. It matches the sowing and the bearing, hence the absence of satisfaction. Who is going to find satisfaction in eating rotten fruit? Rotten denotes death because of the substance that indicates vitality is gone. So vitality must be the beginning to be the end. If the process sucks, the end product is a reflection of that. And being led by the Spirit, we can be fully confident that our fruit will be a reflection of it. And those who lack this experience are in no position to make claims as to whether or not this is true, because it is not a matter of what they think, but what we know to be true based on personal experience. Personal experience, Deb? What do you mean? Yeah, I said it. Personal experience, which is the only experience that is real to us because of its tangibility. As long as we're growing, we know the soil is good and the cultivating is not in vain, whether or not we meet a status on this physical plane. So let them think that we're impoverished, because they opt for a self-righteousness that is not even guaranteed to bring them the results they're hoping for.